I'll admit, I do not know who this woman is. I do not know her name. I do not know if she had a husband or children. I do not know where in Cambodia she came from, or anything about her life. There are things we can assume, and a few things we know. Her picture was taken at Tuol Sleng prison in Phnom Penh between 1975 and 1979. The guards used portraits like this for identification. The fact she was arrested rather than simply killed or forced into agricultural labour says something about her. It is most likely that she was well educated, perhaps a public servant, someone who could be considered a threat to the Khmer Rouge's regime. Most of the people taken to Tuol Sleng were political prisoners and their families. Perhaps she was deemed a threat because of some government involvement in the past, or perhaps she was the sister or wife of another prisoner. From what we know, we can assume that the woman's picture was taken upon arrival at Tuol Sleng. Soon after, she would have been required to give in-depth details about her entire life before all her possessions were taken from her. She would have been stripped of her clothing before being shackled in a cell. Most likely, she was held for 2 to 3 months in strict and inhumane conditions, shackled to the wall, floor, or an iron bar. If she was ever near another prisoner, she could not talk with them. Her diet would have been a few spoonfuls of rice porridge and watery soup. After a couple of days, she would have experienced her first interrogation session, where the guards would have attempted to convince her to confess to whatever crime she was accused of. Convincing equated to torture of various kinds. The type of torture used on this woman we cannot know, but beating, burning, hanging, water torture, and electric shocks were common. She would have been subject to interrogation regularly until they got what they wanted out of her. It is likely that the convincing was eventually effective and that she gave a, most likely false, confession. It could have been any length, from a couple of pages to a great number more. Most likely she mixed in details of her supposed crimes with the factual details of her life, like so many others did. She was probably forced to also give a list of other traitors. Her eventual death is certain. Most likely, she was told to kneel beside a pit while she was beaten about the neck with an iron bar. Her grave will hold at least 5 others, if not more. This woman should be remembered. No one deserves to be forgotten, but especially someone who suffered so much among a crowd of others suffering also. She should be remembered because no one should be subject to such atrocities. We need to learn from the past, from her story, to ensure such horrors never happen again.